yours truly, and Tony Wedge.
Hello.
So in a way, like an experiment, to be a good one, it should be an experiment just as much for me as it is for you. And so I don't always know what we're doing. Sometimes I even question, like, well, why? What makes me a guide, or really, what is my role in here? And I don't know. And I can get feedback from you guys too. I mean, I feel like I know you, right? From all the
Right.
posting and stuff like that. I feel like I know certain people, certain amount, and then I also know people because Rena is kind of gives me her reports and stuff. She's talked to way more of you than I have. And so then, but in another way, you guys know me too, right?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, maybe I could be arrogant and say, you guys think you know me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I think I have a kind of a side of me that's kind of like, seems like it's always trying to stick my finger in there and go, ah! I got a certain irritation. I was even thinking of that, the other day, was that on a poster or in the movie or what? I don't know where that came up. I was saying that, the way reflection works is like I'm your irritation and you're my irritation, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess I never heard it put that way, but I guess that could, yeah, that would make sense. Sometimes I've noticed that too when I communicate. Just in conversation with people that sometimes the conditioning comes in, and it does. There is a sense of irritation sometimes, and it's not with. To me, it's not necessarily with people that I have anything against. They could just be somebody in general that I don't really, like you say, who we know or we don't know. And it's really, to me, what I start to see is it's really not them. It's just how I see them, how my own beliefs come in about them, or even myself sometimes, being self-absorbed sometimes.
So check this out now, because you know how we do restoring, right? We restory stuff. So
Sure.
Now I'm saying, like, okay, that is it. I'm your irritation, not because you're pissed off at me, not because I'm judging you, just because the whole mechanism of the other is an irritation in a way. And I'm just saying, like, with that kind of story, then we don't have any kind of take that, oh, I must be mad at him, or he's taking me wrong, or it should be another way, we shouldn't be irritating each other. No, we should. That's what we are. We're each other's irritation, and then let's celebrate that.
Yeah. It wouldn't make sense to. I think for me, and this is something I kind of discussed with Rena as well. It's like I can't really necessarily hide out from society, which is something I did for years, anyways. I was never one to be much of to have conversation. It was for me, and this is something I discussed with her too, that I always wanted to get it over with and get out of the conversation to to avoid people seeing me for what I was or who I thought I was. I guess I didn't like that sense of irritation, and it's. I think there's that's the benefit of even with this experiment is really noticing. I think we talked about the contractions or getting a sense of how I feel.
So anyhow, like the note, like getting out of it, the sense of getting out of it is like somehow you're being discovered, right? And you're saying, well, like, don't discover me.
Yeah. Right.
And that's big time on our group, right? There's some of the gals, and I don't know, some people never showed up at all, right? And some have not even got a icon up yet. They're secret people, right? And I know, like, even from a long time ago, I always wanted people to have an icon on Never Not Here that was their actual true self, because I thought that then there's lots less monitoring that has to happen, because somehow behind our own face we more or less tell the truth or don't really exaggerate too much. But behind some kind of a fancy symbolism, then we get into, God, the symbolisms are so right on, you know. If you got a woo-woo symbolism, you know, you're talking woo-woo.
Sure. I have one on there, actually. It's kind of just a picture, and I wasn't sure, I guess, when you put that out there, but then you had said...
Oh, you don't have your face on it, huh? I didn't mean to say that, you know, that I was hitting you, you know. But anyhow, I was just kind of noticing some of the gals just changed their icon, right? And they put a more forward-looking pose on there that, you know, like, hey, I'm going into life. And,
Sure.
You know, I think it's really important, right? No, I didn't mean to whack you on that, but, you know, you take it. You deserve it.
Maybe I just read what you had said, had said wrong or something. But yeah, I'm not opposed to putting my face out there. I think if I read it as something about we need to change. It was just my interpretation. It wasn't.
No. That's what I said. I said, like, let's use our icon as a symbol. You know, every time we shift, let's put a new one up.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, anyhow.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It's just another tool we could use, right? So anyhow, like, what am I doing? I'm irritating everybody, right? And you guys know me for that, right? And then, like, I totally believe that this is different. I don't know why, you know. And I don't know. I just totally believe this is different. And I totally believe that so many of you, talking to everybody now, when I speak or when I write, you guys are connecting the dots, you know, and they're your dots, not mine. And so then that's what gets me into all this comparison, because I'm just saying, look, take those spiritual dots out of there, because that's not what we're talking about. And I don't know, if that gets pretty irritating to a lot of people too. Like, I'm always comparing, and I'm wondering, well, why am I doing it, right? And basically, I don't know. I don't like anybody, and there's no spiritual teacher I like. Zero. Cut them all out, you know. You know. How does that strike you? That's how you know me, right? You know me as that prick, right?
I don't know so much as a prick, because I mean, we've had conversations before, and it was. I guess what made sense to me was when you had, and I think you talked about, maybe pulling the IV out, because and it really had me look at what I was doing, because I was relying on everybody else's words or teachings or anything, instead of saying, why don't I drop all this and see what's right here? What is it? What is it that I need outside of me that I don't have? In this. I guess for me, if it was the easiest way for me to put it, it always left me with a sense of unfulfillment, or there was something missing, I guess. And I don't find that there's really anything missing. I don't need to grab something or seek something outside of myself to feel okay. Because I never felt, for most of my life, even before I started to drink at a young age, that I don't know. I always felt that I needed people to validate me as a person to be okay, and it was always temporary. There was never any nothing lasting, I guess. Even when I was by myself, there was a sense of
I can really go into that, and I could probably really talk about like the authenticity is missing, right? And then I don't know. I don't really want to go too much into that because, it's a dose of philosophy and stuff, trying to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, or basically, I mean, maybe I'll explain it a little bit. it's just enough. I find it's just enough to say it's an experiment. You know, we're going to do it different. That's all, and not why. Why are we going to do it different, or how's it different, or you know, just lay it out as. But you know, basically, all those teachers, everyone, you know, there's a heavy-duty belief system in our human society that somebody can tell you something, and as a model, and say that you could somehow that'll. You could try it on as a garment, right? As like a moral system, or like a practice, or like a good idea to be loving, or so many different things. There's a big belief out that you could try that on as a garment, and somehow that'll become who you are, right? From outside in. That's like when I got that idea, the outside in. And like, I'm not even going to deny that or say it never works, right? Because like, how do I know? You know, but that is a big belief, and all the spiritual people are believing that. You know, they haven't moved one iota from that model, right? That they're going to point. They call it point somehow, and then somehow you're going to pick up on that, and you're going to get it, right? And then that'll change your life. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think it works very well, right? Because millions of people get pointed to, and only hundreds or thousands really makes a difference in their life, as far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some truth to that, because it was for me it was like, what are they, what are they getting at? And I don't know if I was confused with the language, but I think, with me it was kind of like I'll go to one specific, I'll back up a little bit, as far as I was engaged with spiritual principles there for a while, and it's like, man, if I can't live up to those spiritual principles, I guess I got to a point where I couldn't. I just felt like I was restricted, I guess, by doing certain things as far as, and I have nothing against it. I think it was almost like a training wheels, but I wanted better training wheels. If that's one way to put it, I was always looking for something, more support, something. I wanted to always. I guess I was waiting for something new to happen in order for me to live a more fulfilling life. Instead of really.
Isn't that what spiritual teaching is? It's a waiting, right? Because you're saying, like, God is great, right? And we're going to wait for God to show up. He's already here, by the way. But anyhow, we're going to wait for him to show up the way we like him, like that I would be like open and clear and unanxious and stuff like that. But it is a waiting game. That's all it is. And that's my big beef with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And even if God is going to show up in a big way, then why should I be waiting? I could be, I like that one, God helps he who helps himself, or, God works through hands and feet, or something like that,
Yeah, that's true. It's like I'm waiting for a bigger and better experience to happen, and I'm missing out on probably the best experience, I could waste my whole life on it, through time. It's like, when are things going to get better?
Yeah.
Well, now's the time I can, be responsible for, certain things. And I like how you say that we do have a choice. Now, there is things that people have told me, well, no, you don't really have a choice. It's a theory. And now it's like, man.
To be with the guys, and just be kind of like gross. I say that those guys, those people, every one of those last teachers, every last friggin' one of them cuts your balls off. Off they come. Bingo. Just sit and wait for grace and do what I say. And, and then I guess I can get animated about that, like what you might call pissed off, like, up your ass, you bastard. And I don't know, like, I don't think the girls like that, I do that, like I act that out. And they think, oh, like this guy's off the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, nobody talks about empowerment. Like, that's like out of the question, right? There's no you to be empowered.
Right.
Even if it's fake, even if it just takes you so far, why not be, for that farness? And then I think God will come in, or grace will come in, or whatever, woo-woo or magic or the cosmos will come in even in a bigger way, right?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. It won't be by being stagnant. And that's one of the things that really, for me, it was like I spent all this time, and it wasn't even that much time, but what I was starting to feel was almost a sense of uh, almost like a depression. It's kind of like, if this is all there is, if I have to wait for this whatever outside power to come into my life, then I'm going to be, waiting a while. And I guess it's like, man, I'm not good enough. I think there's a specialness that I almost saw other people, spiritual teachers, or whatever we want to call them, as having something that I didn't have because I was doing it the wrong way, or I wasn't. And I think the languaging, or I'm not saying it right, or just I don't know. To me, this seems a little bit more like there's a lot more rest. I guess from as far as we've gone with this experiment, it's I don't know. I find it easier to be around people, and I don't have to do anything special to engage with life. I don't.
You got it, brother. You got it. Man, we're trying to say that real loud and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll even go farther. You are something special, baby. You are really special, and you get that.
Yeah.
You're a dynamo. You're a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But you got to demonstrate it too. We're not just going to say that like an affirmation.
No,
we're going to do it, and then sure as can be.
Yeah, I could say that's perfect, because I could sit here and tell you all the, the things that I'm going to do, and how much better, I really am when we leave this. But it's true. I mean, it's they always say talk is cheap, and I think that's what I got caught with. We got the trap of, and I guess I'll put this out here, and I don't know, and I have nothing against like prayer or meditation or anything like that, but what I started to see was, with me, it was I was trying to, accumulate something, or gather something, or wait for an answer, kind of like what you said, and I was doing this in the morning, because there was a story going on. The story of when I wake up in the morning, it was like, well, I need to get prepared for to walk out the door. I need to do something, something spiritual, in order to let the dog out or whatever.
Who knows? Maybe you took the Course in Miracles or something like that. You got your list. You got your 365 deals.
Oh my gosh! I've heard of people doing that. It's like, I just couldn't imagine, putting myself through that, or I started to think about, what about the people in my life that don't do that, and they. I got family. I got a grandmother that's 96 years old that lives down the road, and I didn't see her in 21 years. And I felt I was kind of putting my family aside, because, well, I need to get to do something. I have things I need to do spiritually before I can do it.
Hey, as soon as we finish, go down the road and hug her, would you? Because I wanna feel her too.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we watched a few Detroit Tigers games in the past week here. I mean, I could just go down there. and be with her. It's like this is what I was missing.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Mike. Are you shifting?
Oh yeah,
Tell me.
yeah, yeah.
Tell me about it.
I think this is really funny. I found and I put this out here, and it's so hard to put into words sometimes. And I've talked with Rena about this. It's like, man, I've just taken a vacation from being so serious about life. And I understand there's certain things that I need to be responsible for, and things like that. But I just found myself laughing. I mean, with not for just uncaused laughter. Just some of the smallest.
I just
things.
ain't interject. Your face is so alive right now, man. You are a live cookie. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I woke up and there's been times when I've been to sleep and I'll just wake up out of a dead sleep laughing, not sure what I'm laughing at, and then it causes me to laugh more. And I got a dog here, and he looks up at me like, "What are you, crazy?"
Yeah, he'll be saying, "Am I supposed to bark or what?"
Yeah, he doesn't get it. Who knows? Maybe he does.
Yeah, maybe he gets it. Okay, let me ask you another question. Is there any danger whatsoever in backsliding? Man, you tell me. I think I know, but
No, I don't see it as far as receding or falling back into something in an old pattern.
yeah.
I haven't experienced that. I haven't thought about that. And there was one thing, and I'm glad you said that. I used to feel this anxiety about, well, how long will this last? It can only last so long. This fear of the future, is my life going to be? This is something's got to drop out. This can't. How do I want to put it? I guess there is a sense, and it's not so much a fear. It was just anxious about, is my life going to go somewhere, better, or is it going to get
Well, it's
worse?
a fear. It's a fear. It's just an experience. It's just like saying nothing ever lasts, right? So then I've done all kinds of things, and I've had highs, and I've had lows, and then I'm back into my depressions and whatever. Nothing lasts. But I'm saying, I don't know. I'm asking about that. For me, I don't see how I could go back, how I could ever go back. I don't know. I'll go forward. I might do some stupid things still,
Yeah.
Share a few stories.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I just don't feel like I need to set something up mentally or be prepared for it. I think to me that's part of when we talk about having an experiment, it's almost like it's an exploration to me. I mean, life should be like that. Finding out. I mean, really, I don't know. There's just so much more of possibilities. I think I limited myself for so long with, well, I need to be. I don't know. I always just felt enclosed there for a while when I was stuck with living by principles and living by my own beliefs and stories without ever questioning.
Yeah, we don't know, we don't know. So anyhow, there's something about being inauthentic, that really grates us. We keep trying, we're sincere. We keep trying to fit into these models, even from kids, clean up your room, be nice to your brother. All those things are models, right? That say, and we've tried earnestly for our whole life to fit some model, some social model or something like that. But there's something about it, I don't know, that's false or phony or that can only take you so far, right? It just, I guess, I don't know why. Why doesn't it work? The whole society is in shambles, and we've been trying to do that kind of stuff for ages, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's one thing that I've noticed that it's almost like, I don't know why I didn't see it before, but I watch the news sometimes and I look on internet. And it's almost like from week to week, it's always something new that everyone jumps aboard. As far as, I don't know, it's like, it's hard to explain, but it's kind of like, and I think you had said it one other time, we live in Agreementville. We agree, and if we don't agree, then you're an outcast. If you don't agree with, and I'm going to say this, that there's this whole thing with the, what is it called, the GMOs, the food, genetically modified organisms or whatever, and it's just like, seems like a big scare. Everyone's scared shitless. It's like, Christ, this has been going on since what is it, the 70s or something like that, but people are saying, well, no, it's getting worse and worse, and it's like, boy, we got a lot of prophets walking around out there.
Yeah, who knows? But maybe things should be labeled so you have a choice, right? If they take your choice away, that's kind of the pisser. But if they label it and let you have a choice, then you can follow your own star, right? And then people are sensitive to different things, right? Some people are more sensitive to cell phones or something, or these new squirrely light bulbs, the ones that go like this, I think have 10 times more radiation than regular incandescents or halogens. And some people, the radiation kind of upsets their system more than others.
Yeah, there's definitely, there's always, a risk involved with it, like what you say with the, maybe the light bulbs and things like that. And I think it is about making, the good decisions. And I guess I think about the, the next generations to come and the current, it's, to help them see that. I think to me, it's almost, there's been times in my life when I've had people, inform me rather than, try to scare me into doing, behaving a certain way or, things like that. It's like, I think.
Okay, let me say a couple of things here. I'll just jump in. Okay, one thing you said, whoa, this experiment or has the results or the idea of the experiment. And, and that's kind of like one of my premises that life is an experiment and that this thing will just go on forever, because why would you, what's to stop,
Right.
In fact, that's a new way to look at life, right? That life is something where I do something different and measure the results.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I do the same thing too. And I can measure results of that too. I'm like, oh God, I get the same thing back, right? Oh, bingo. I guess, maybe I like it.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
No should-be's about it, right?
Right.
But if I don't like it, then do something different, right? That's pretty clear, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I found anymore. It's I think one of the first barriers with this is like, taking risks in conversations with other people is probably one of the biggest, I guess I could say benefits, but it's actually just kind of seeing past my story about me and how other people are, and and how life is in general. That I just have. I'm not one. I was never one. I guess I should say. Prior to. I would say. I would guess maybe even coming to this experiment that. Just having conversations with people out and about. Taking the. To me, it doesn't seem like a risk anymore.
Oh, that's really cool. Like how about this? Like the way we just started our conversation. And I said, I guess I'm an irritant to you, right? And let's just make that the story, right? I'm an irritant to everybody, right? And then how much should I irritate them? And then didn't I do this with Rosie? I was kind of going like, some people I really push on, and some people I think, oh my God, let's try to measure, right? Where should I be and what should I say? Should I say things that are provocative or not, And why do I have to provoke, right? And then, I don't know, I've got that role going where I can provoke and I can kind of make an excuse that provoking is a good thing, right? So I've got the role of being the guide here and the provoker and the inventor and all that stuff, And so then I don't even know, but I mean, it seems like I like to provoke.
Yeah, I used to be scared of, if somebody were to provoke me or question me, or I always felt like I had to come up with the right answer or the proper answer, or
Yeah,
I used to hate to say I don't know.
yeah,
I'm not really sure, or even say that they would say something new that I'd never heard before. Because I always wanted to be. I think with me, I always felt with a lot of things that I knew everything. I was kind of like this. I would say that I knew things that I didn't have any idea about.
you were a backdoor scientist.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I know everything about everything. I pretty well know everything about everything too. At least I got a story about it. Once in a while, I'll see some device out there, and I'll say, "What the hell is that device for?" I can't figure it.
Oh, yeah.
But mostly, I can always figure out. I see something, I think, "Oh God, that must be for blah blah." Let's see
Yeah.
where I want to say. I want to say something. Okay, like, okay, I was asking you, could you ever backslide, right? And then we said life could be the experiment, right?
Yeah.
And so then this group is an experiment for me and Rena, right? We don't know where to take it actually, because we could say, okay, you guys are done, goodbye. Let's do another one or something, or we could say, I don't know where to take, and I came up with this thing because I was talking to one of the others on a post, and I feel that I can finish you guys,
Sure.
pretty arrogant maybe, but finish also means like killed or something. So I called it finishing school, take you to finishing school. Like that's kind of like more a metaphor of a young woman that, gets finished for society, right? But I don't know. I feel like we can go and finish to me means that you're well rooted and you're in the experiment, really, in your own discoveries, and that if there's any doubt, you'll know how to you'll go in and discover about that doubt, and you'll try it this way and try it that way, and go on. And then a good part of the experiment is not that okay, you try a lot of things out now, but you also allow anxiety to be a part of it. And so then we're just saying, well, that's the kind of main part of the experiment is to see what life is like with a little bit less anxiety. And we do the storying trick, we're saying that anxiety comes from what you tell yourself, your self-talk. And so then at a point when you kind of really get that, I believe you're done, you're on your own, you're responsible for yourself, you're taking responsibility where you know how to do it, with your promises and your word and stuff like that. And you're not imagining that you're God or that you're going to create everything that happens in your life. Just like I shared on that one post, I was saying like my African trip, was so marvelous and I didn't really control or do any of it. All I did was center myself every day, or I didn't even do that because I am always centered anyhow. I'm finished. I've been to finishing school already.
Yeah.
How does that grab you when I say finishing school? Forget the school part, but I just use that so it doesn't mean like I'm going to kill you or something, finish you off.
No, I think I get where you're going with that. It's like it's kind of it makes sense to me. Yeah, because it's like it is. I think for anything, I guess when I look at what I've done with different teachings and things like that, it's like I think you and I actually discussed this at one time. This lack of trust. I would trust everything and everybody else, but why don't I find out for myself and see what I know? It's not that I don't distrust everything and everything that everybody says, but it's I don't see that as it's not a bad thing, and I think that we get to a point, at least in my experiences, it's like you get to a point of, do I leave it up to somebody else to take me any farther? or am I willing to, again,
Exactly, because like one time I said, I think I wrote it. I'm sure I wrote it. I don't know if it's in text that I gave you guys or what, but something about, oh, you know where it is? It's in the chapter 12. It's like I said, find a teaching that liberates you from all teachings. I hope this is the first one. If it doesn't work, I'll rewrite it, right? And I'll do it again if it didn't work. But you're supposed, I'm saying like, there's no way you're going to be attached to this as a teaching, right?
No, I don't see anywhere that I would have anything to grab onto. And I like what you say about, sliding back at default. I think there's something about that. It's like, well, I can always go back to default, but to me, that's another story.
Yeah, you got all the stories you want now. You got all the options.
Sure.
You don't have to have only two.
Yeah, shit.
Like, two stories are like screwed up or in satsang, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I've never had the luxury of going to a satsang or anything. I mean, I watched them and everything, but it's like...
Of course, sliding back doesn't mean you don't react, Not at all.
Right.
In fact, you react more, right?
Yeah.
I really want to punch a few people out or something. I don't know what, but, you see it. That's the story, right? And then you probably even know which story it is because you say, oh, yeah, that one. You can run it. But like I said, I think I said maybe it'll come up next time, and I don't know what. But, I mean, when you get comfortable with yourself and with the experiment, you can go deeper into dark territory because you don't have a fear that you're going to get lost there. And so you can play things out and do whatever, whatever you want. And that the door out, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's always available.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said there too, is, I always felt bad about, well, I can't react to this and that. I think we call it deflecting. Always trying to deflect the bad. I always just want the good instead of owning it. We talk about acceptance in some of these spiritual teachings and circles. Well, I had preferences about that. My preferences, to me, when all this comes up sometimes with the story, and it's like, well, I see that now as I'm deflecting. I'm not really.
Well, I don't know if that's right on, because like deflecting, okay, like you can deflect another, like if they're coming on to you, like in a certain way, and you kind of push them off by making excuses, right?
Sure.
And justifications, right? You justify, I did this because blah, blah, right? And of course, that was a good justification. So then your accusation, that's a deflection. But I mean, as far as, if you know that everything is story-based, you don't have to deflect anymore. You can run it when you want to run it, and you can check your story out or restory when you don't want to run it anymore. And then that's it, period.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Maybe I said it wrong or didn't say it the way I came across. I don't know. But yeah, I would, just not, I guess acknowledge. I think maybe that's the word I was looking for. Acknowledge the story, so I'm able to.
Yeah. That's a potent word, by the way. That's a really potent word.
Yeah.
It means tell the truth.
Yeah.
Or the truth that I see, as far as I can see it, right?
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm getting a line of people that want to do a talk, right? And I'm not so sure exactly. Okay, like I know we don't really know where to take this. In a way, I say I'll finish all of you, right, as a challenge. And I'm not going to finish all of you because, like, everyone's not available, really.
Right.
To, I don't know. There's other things going on. Those are deflections, right? If we see each other as somehow unpleasant, right? Maybe they see me as unpleasant. They don't open to me. There's a lot of sibling rivalry here. There was a lot with the other guy, too. and I'm not really trying to put myself up on a pedestal. But anyhow, people are in the business. People are more professional than me. People are, done their thing for a long time, and I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I should be available, but, like I say, we don't really know where to take this. This is an experiment for us, too. And, I think everyone's going to be deeply touched, right?
I believe so.
But who knows? Maybe there's a few escape artists.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of the things, like I was kind of talking about earlier. Is I'll do anything to get out of, interfacing with somebody. That to me, that's a miserable way to live, and I did it for years. And there's a lot of suffering that came along with that. I'm not saying that as I did it more than anybody else. It was just something that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, our society promotes that, Somehow it's preferable, actually, for big business, just stay home and buy shit. Don't bug.
Yeah.
And politicians like that, too. Don't get out on the street. Don't talk to anyone. Just listen to us and read the paper and see how bad it is, so that we need to spend all the stuff we spend. And then, it's a huge way we live, right? And we count on avoiding each other somehow because of the irritant. We recognize that we're each an irritant for the other.
Sure.
And they're for us. They irritate us. Let's just watch sports. But anyhow, that's the only thing I can do anymore is talk to people. I went the other way.
You went the other way, you said?
Yeah, no, like I didn't want to stay on my couch and watch TV.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you a few questions, because somehow in order for something new, in order to see something, there has to be a pause, right? And that's one of the main reasons I'm kind of like knocking everybody and knocking everything down, because somehow if you're on a trail of a thought trail, and you say, oh, this causes this, see, there it is, there's the evidence over there. This, all the patterns, I've got them identified. I'm safe because I know where to dodge and I know where to hide out and I know when I can come out. That kind of story is going to you run with it, and there's never a pause. And somehow a pause, what the heck is a pause? It's like a place where I don't know. Boom. What's that? And then there's a pause, right? And there's really no thoughts because you don't know where to go, Choo, 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 choo. I'm not trying to say no thought or anything. It's a pause, A pause is everything. It's not just thoughts, It's especially in meaning and relating to meaning and finding evidence. And the pause is everything, And we're calling it a gap. So, like, how are you doing with a gap? You visit the gap?
Yeah, and what I noticed was that was one of the most uncomfortable places for me to be because I was so used to, I knew what to do with thoughts. I knew how to react. At least so I thought. As far as, and it happened the other day. I was down. I pumped gas, and the lady behind the counter dropped something, and I didn't say anything. And I just kind of, normally I would have to try to, make some wisecrack or something to make her feel okay or make her feel comfortable, but it just wasn't there. I guess what I'm starting to see is it's more, how do I want to put it? Frequent that I'm okay with, being in that, just being.
We were watching a video. I don't know. I was watching a couple of videos of other teachers just to see how screwed up they were. I don't know what. But anyhow, they're just saying, like, maybe Eckhart was saying, like, there's just no thought going on. In other words, he lives in the gap, right? Pretty much. And then, of course, even now, I don't know if I'm thinking or not. I'm just talking, but I live in the Gap, let's say. I don't make a big deal out of it. I'm not going to say I'm awakened or anything. And so then the Gap, we call it a creative space, right? So then, and then, right, there's all kinds of little tricks in the Gap. I mean, memories are in the Gap too, right? And images, right? And so then those are that can be dangerous, because they're the ones I was afraid of, like, what do I call it? My ghosts and dragons are in the Gap. And then, so we get used to Gap avoidance.
Sure.
We do that by running on anything, right? On habits, on addictions, on substances, on foods, on going out and shopping, or just going out, driving around. Anyhow, just running anything keeps us out of the Gap, and the Gap, there's a lot of question marks in the Gap, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're saying it's all creativity. All creativity is in that Gap, in the pause.
It seems like, it was never, I don't know, it was kind of like I was always, how do I want to put this too? I think that was a scary place for me for a while because, these memories would, come up of, the stories about things, and they still come up, every so often when, in that Gap. But there's a recognition of them, an easier recognition of them. I don't try to deny. I don't know. I don't even want to say deny that they're there. I can't
suppress them.
Suppress them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't okay with them before, I guess, and now it's like.
See, pretty soon we just know the address of the Gap, and then we can just pop in for a visit, Boom.
Yeah.
We don't have to really do any practice or anything, like we just know.
Boom. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
We know the address of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Pop in for a visit. Okay, let me just introduce some of the other things because I don't know if people are getting this. I'm not even so sure it's so important, But when you're in the Gap, you see things, right? You see things, and usually what you do is the moment you see things, you start to build a thought train about them and a plan, and I'm going to act on this, and I'm not going to act on that, and Usually it's just kind of like automatic. Oh, image, boom, start thinking about that image, right? Another one, okay, think that one, right? But then if the pause is really the pause, or I don't know if you have to just say, okay, let's try to extend the pause a little bit. Then you'll notice there's several images up there. And then we just, somehow I figured that they're not real thoughts, like they're potential thoughts. And I called it a temptation structure. They're a temptation for a thought. Because they're really a thought in a way, because you got a label, right? They've got an image and you recognize it. So in that sense, it's a thought, right? All these images. And the more you pause and don't jump on one and start thinking about it, the more others appear, right? And then that's what I call the creative field, because then you can choose. You can choose which ones, especially not to work with, like, oh, I'm inadequate. And all those stories that, immediately make you. When I was talking to Bill, like on posts, and we was saying, do, ooh, don't do, whoop. I'll never do what? You can feel it so immediately. If I don't do, I'll be screwed.
Oh yeah.
It just goes. You can watch it always going up and down. Your body is like this signpost. It's alive, right? It's a real-time live signpost. Sure. And that was what the OSGF was all about. As a signpost. It wasn't really about like a should be, like so many people were taking it.
Right. Yeah, kind of like a guide, I think, is what shouldn't that be our guide? Is the sign, being the signpost?
It's our metric for our experiment, right?
Sure.
So then, when I'm just explaining a little bit now. So then, okay, let's say you're allowing more images to come up, and you're not really grabbing one and building a story on it for a while, you know. So then you might notice that there's all kinds of images, and they really have no feeling. I don't think they have much of a feeling component to them, whereas usually a thought always has a feeling. That's our model, that everything we say has a feeling and some kind of reflection in the body, opening or closing, right? But these ones, they're not yet having them. So that's why I call it, we came up with the idea spark of an image, because they're not really a full-blown thought, you know? So we just said they're a spark or a potential image, right? And so we came up with this idea, spark of an image, you know, they're all up there. That's the creative field, and that's where you'd make choices. That's the choice point, right?
Right.
And then, okay, well, how about that? Is that something that is helpful, that kind of notion? And have you ever gone to the creative field and saw a bunch of sparks of images and not pulled them down immediately? Can you do that?
As far as staying in the gap and not grabbing, or just kind of seeing them from the space? Is that what you're kind of asking?
Yeah, seeing more than one, you know, not just grabbing the first one and saying, okay, let's think about that one. Oh, I dismissed. Okay, another one. But just let them all be there, you know, without actually constructing thoughts about them.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's one of the shifts that I notice too when I get up in the morning, that the story wants to come in and wants to let me know about what the day is going to look like and how I'm going to be. And there's a it just seems like let them be there instead of trying to, like you said, attach to them. I think that was one of the things that really, gave me a sense of depression almost. It's, at certain times, and I mean, it's not like I planned it out or anything. It was just, it's just a more of a somehow. The recognition is a lot. There's more clarity, I guess. I know I hate to use the spiritual terms that are thrown around.
No, clarity is a good one, because that's what the name of my book is called, The Clarity Game.
Oh, okay.
So now, listen, I'm asking you, if this spark of an image idea is working for you, and if it's a good one, maybe it's not even that good, or maybe it's not all that useful or all that universal, But I mean, it seems to me that, okay, like you're saying, some images come up there, and then some, I'm saying you choose not to go there. And let me give you an example, because I'm just getting too wishy-washy here, what happens a lot to me, an image might be up there about what'll tomorrow be like, or what'll I do in case of that, or what will I be missing Rena when I'm gone, or something. And I just say, look, I don't run that stuff. I don't run anything that's not here, right? My choice is those images. I don't really run them, and I only run ones that are about now. And then, so that's one place where I see sparks of image, and where I don't, I have no interest. So then where am I going to worry? Worry's got to be about the future, right? I'm not going to be able to worry, because I don't really run those things. I walk away from them. I never go there, right?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Is that a better example than just saying you walk away from some images and you go to some?
Yeah, I think that's a little better way, I guess, of explaining it to me. There's some things, I guess, sometimes I hear things I don't. Some of the words, I guess, I don't grasp onto. But there's always this. I don't want to say always, but there are times when the what ifs come in. What if this happens, or what if this happens? It's like, yeah, but it's not happening.
Yeah, somehow we think that playing that story is going to prepare us in a better way. We'll have the options already worked out, And so then for how many eons have we done that, And that's the experiment to stop it,
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah. Yep, and that goes right back to where I prepare and keep myself kind of keep me. It was almost like being enslaved, by the story of how or the possibility of what if, and it was never good what ifs. I mean, for me, it was there could be something really, uh, the potential for, uh, we say a great day or a great tomorrow, and it was all brought down by, yeah, but what if? And what
Yeah.
if there wasn't even, it was just like you said, um, the first thought that would come along sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, we get automatic with that, right? And we don't need to
Yeah,
blame ourselves about that, but we can say that's enough. We're gonna now we're gonna run the experiment, and
yeah,
then that'll ease us out of that. And the same with the past. We're not have to run about our abuses and justify why we're with the way we are. Basically, the past is kind of like used as a justifying tool to say, yeah, I'm okay to be screwed up like this, right? Because look what they did to me back there.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, victimhood I was not even. I wouldn't even come out and say it, but that's how I felt about myself. The self-talk was, gosh, how much of a victim? How long am I going to let myself be a victim of past? Is it really happening to me?
Well, we think it's real, It was real, or it is real now. If it's not real now, whatever it was, was is a kind of a hokey word, right?
Yeah. Or even a good experience. I'd like to have that good experience again.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, uh,
So then that's kind of like the gap. You're pretty good at the gap. The spark of the image, I don't know. I don't think you're really getting that. Like you really haven't. But it's there. It's kind of you're unnatural at it, right? And I don't even know if it's that essential, but it is. It's essential to really make feel powerful with choices, and then not run with the past or the future, because those are another. Those are so many of the images, right? I mean, in a way, all images are past, because otherwise, how would it be formed, right? But
yeah. Yeah, 'cause I think you mentioned you wrote something or written something about it's just that split second. It might be wrong, but I mean, as far as perception and the time for it to register or whatever, but you know, for me, they're just, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I mean, what else could the story can't be about future? I mean, I could have a story about how I think my future is going to be, but past and future are just, I just don't feel regulated by that anymore or driven by that anymore. Or, let me say, I don't feel as heavy about, you know, this whole uh, story, kind of keeping me pushed down or
I
limited.
guess we all believe that the world is a place of doom, right? We got our own private doom.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that keeps us in place somehow, so we don't get too far out, too radical. Don't forget the doom.
Gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The doom. Yeah, that's funny you say that because it's like it is. It's a society thing. I agree to how society sees everything. I'm gonna, live a mundane and I don't feel like I need to wear camouflage when I go out in public or wake up and uh, you know,
Remember one thing, like mundane is your best word. That's your favorite word. Mundane means here now. And this mundane is where everything is. All the gifts are in mundane. Don't ever
yeah,
turn away from mundane. That is
right,
your life. That is every moment. That's all you got, right? And that's a
yeah,
shitty word, but in the meantime, it's like where all the gold is.
yeah. I think I see what you're saying. Maybe my interpretation of the word for a long time has been mundane. It is as the same, and I think of the same as it used to be, and the same as how it's gonna be. You know what I mean? As far as the stories, putting value on all the the self-talk I had about this is how I'm always going to be, which is bullshit. It's not how I'm always going to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got a chapter on that. I call it something about time, but that comes a few later. And I'm trying to find out what are the hooks in time, because you could just say time, or you can see, at least it's so easy for me to see that time is always a thought, right? And then you could say, well, it lacks the real beef of being here now, right? And then nothing can be done in time. You can't do nothing in the past. You can't do nothing in the future. You can't fix anything. You can't even forgive anybody or do nothing, Forgiving has to happen now. You can think about the past. Forgive. Think about your memories or thoughts. I don't even like to say past sometimes, just your memories. I like to say just stay in the present. But anyhow. So anyhow, I got this chapter. That's where I was trying to go with that. I got this chapter about, like you said, mundane to me probably meant stay the same and be the same. Well, because we have a view of a world view, right? Which is, I'm starting to call it our context. And the context, to explain it, I say that that's our belief structures of how the world works and like where we can act and where we can't act, right? And, I suppose it has a little bit to do where we can think and where we can't think. But, I mean, not really. We think whatever pops in our mind or whatever thoughts we run when we have a spark of an image. And, of course, those are limited by our worldview, too, because the world's so vast. We know such a little tiny square of it. And so then we don't have there's gajillions of thoughts that never even occurred to us, right? So then it's your thoughts too, but mostly your actions and not actions, right? Where I can't act, no, there's nothing you can do there. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this again. And so then those are all based on this context, and this context is a worldview that was developed yesterday by us and by the stack, and so then. What I'm doing today is what I did yesterday. And so naturally the results are the same, right? And so then the mundane part. I'm going to talk, I don't even know why I talked about that because that's later, really. I don't want to, I'm sorry I let myself loose on that one. But it's the actions. It's our action and no action that are the hooks to the past and makes it recreate, right? And then that comes out of our context, and our context is our belief structures and those things until we let something new in. And how do we do that? We have to go to the gap, right? And we have to stop knowing everything, and we have to stop creating every kind of meaning. And then some little new smidgen of new will come in, and our worldview will get a teeny-weeny little bit wider. And then that'll leave an option for another kind of an action, and then that action will cause another being because we'll show up in a different way, right? So it's kind of like a slope. It's a process, okay. So now we've talked about a couple of things. We've talked about the gap, the pause, the gap, spark of an image. Is a temptation structure means that how do you pull those down, And I said it's because the one that's the hottest, the most painful or the most persistent. And they both are about the same thing, really, because I don't know what, anyhow. And then choice point means you pick another one, or you don't go in certain directions, like running past and future stories. And then some are really perplexing. It's called reaction, right? And then you kind of search for a story about that and say, well, what am I really telling myself that makes me believe that I've been done in here and that this other person is really too much of an irritant this time? And then we look into restoring. Now, we could probably go into that maybe when we do hangouts, right? We'll try to get people, or even on these talks, I guess people are lining up. They probably want to get undone somewhere. And so then you restory things, and then you feel those stories, right? You can feel them right away. And actually, some of the people are posting that they feel feelings, but they don't have a clue what the thoughts are behind them, right? So then that's kind of a knack we have to get into, right? We have to help people to find find what they're saying to themselves exactly, and what's causing these contractions, the ones that we call reaction, right? The ones that are coming on without our permission. And so then, how are you doing with that? Do you have? Are you? I'm not necessarily trying to tear into everybody's reactions, but how are you doing with that?
As far as the
Seeing
reaction,
yourself, seeing what what is the cause of reaction? If you're reacting, and being able to say, well, is that true or what?
I guess as far as reaction, as in like body reaction, or just reaction.
Definitely. I mean, somebody will say something and you get triggered. You say, well, fuck that. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah,
Trigger, like heavy time. Triggers could be heavy time, right? You could just
yeah.
see something on the news, or you could see some politician lie or something like that, or get away scot free, and those are like good trigger points for people, right? Or, personal things. There comes Aunt Tilly again and giving you her same old bull.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think what I start to notice sometimes is it's not so much um, I think it really, for me, it's becoming more noticeable how I'm feeling, when I'm engaging or when I'm seeing something, instead of just, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, I'm sure, and I don't beat myself up over it. Like I see something, I think that it's like, okay, now I'm starting to notice this a little bit more. Even when I'm talking to somebody, I've noticed the other day that my shoulders started to raise up a little bit, but it took just a split second, and it was like, oh, there. I mean, just for a minute, my shoulders come up, and then, no. But it was something. I didn't go into trying to figure out what it was, as so much I was like, acknowledging it. I think to me it can be a cumulative. After a while, that and it is. I think you made a good point in there. Is that it affects us physically. It affects us on more than just our. To me, it can spill over into how I am with other people. If they get a sense of tension or anticipation with me, it may cause a reaction to them as well.
Oh, well, they got their own thing going. Who knows what they're doing? But anyhow,
Exactly.
I mean, like, okay, like that's so good, Okay, you've got an introspective personality, so you're already kind of like a watcher. And so then we're kind of going mono in a way, like, oh, yeah, well, if you've got a reaction, it's because of the story. Go look at your story and all that. It's just perfectly fine to drop your shoulders without knowing what the hell they went up,
Yeah.
Perfectly fine, because it works. All these links work in all the different directions, right? So there's no should be or right way or anything about it. I mean, that is gorgeous. Just because you're there, you're present, and you can go, let's see now. I want to just be more. I want to just approach this guy and be centered and not be, you don't even know what the thoughts are or what, but you're just saying, like, because that is the experiment. The experiment is just to be centered, and day by day, and then see how that comes different. Your availability, your agility, your effectiveness, all those things have to go up a notch, right? And then that extra effectiveness and that extra agility, that's going to make your release tomorrow even deeper, right? Until like you know the address of just shoulders down, perfect, good posture. Your head's not sticking weird or something like that. You're not holding yourself. I feel for those girls that always put their hair on one side, and they kind of peek out from behind their hair, and they talk to you like this, because their hair has to hang down. Yeah, I want to straighten their neck, just say, yeah, just everything is just the centering comes from every different way, just because you're here. It doesn't have to be telling stories or looking at gaps or whatever. You're in the gap all the time when you're looking.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like the gap is just the space or whatever we want to call it here is just like, man, I was overlooking the most obvious, looking for something else. But it's just like, I guess with this, even with this experiment, I was like, I was unaware, I think, of how, why I was feeling. I think you brought up a good point. It's I get where people don't recognize why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And, I'm not trying to facilitate anything here, but yeah, it was really just kind of falling into or not even trying to get into the gap that we're already in.
Yeah, right. That's the hard part because we're always looking to meditate and get in a meditative space, and we're already in one, right? So then, of course, if you miss it. But anyhow, when you say like people are feeling something and not knowing why they're feeling it, I'm not trying to build an encyclopedia of why we feel everything, right? So it's not like we have to go in and check everything out. Of course, if we don't like it, I want to show you the mechanism. I want to show you the mechanism, and you can say, well, you could back out of this, no sweat, right? And that's the only reason we kind of getting into stories, and we're looking for this mechanism that to me seems surefire, but who knows? Maybe it's not. I mean, I'm sure some people are stuck, right? And that's because they believe something's real, right? Something is real, and that I'm up against that real thing. And then we have to examine and say, well, is it real or what? Or is this just your interpretation part? So much is interpreted. I even say, like, I think I wrote it, where can you touch real except through interpretation? I don't know. People claim you can, but I let them just have that for themselves. For me, it just never happens.
Touching real through interpretation? Is that what?
No, I'm saying like there's whatever's real here, whatever real means, it just means like something's here, and we talk about it, right? The two things. And the only way we touch the real thing is how we talk about it, right? How do we ever we could say like thoughts are subdued a lot, and I don't even can't recognize any thoughts, but belief structures are still cooking, right? Sure. And that's how we touch any kind of the essence of anything is through our descriptions. That's what I'm saying. So then I'm noting that linkage, that's an important linkage of how we feel is what we're believing or telling ourselves.
Yeah.
So then that's the experiment is just to learn the linkage and learn to release ourselves, and then learn that feeling good is the natural state.
Yeah.
And that from that state, everything unfolds smoother. And then, I don't know, is that kind of clear to you what the whole experiment is? Or, I mean, do you...
Yeah. Yeah, I feel, I guess on a, I don't know, how am I going to say this, like a holistic level, I feel like I have more energy. I feel like I'm more empowered. I mean, I think that it's true what you say, that it is not, we can build off of this and grow. We're going to grow right along with it. I mean, it's not like we reach a plateau. I can't even comprehend that. That would not make any sense to me. That, we can, we take it even further and find out, and not have such contempt for, the beliefs, at least in my experience, the beliefs about myself.
That's the most important, right?
Sure.
By yourself, and then everything else unfolds from that, even about society or about things that are pretty, there's a lot of gruesome things out there too, but
sure. Yeah. I don't know. It's so funny that I think that's why there's so much, with this laughter and everything, the spontaneous laughter. It's like, it's almost like a recognition of, kind of like the air is let out, and I don't know. I can almost see myself in I don't know. It's just so hard to explain, I guess. And, some things like I get a text from somebody that's normally I would get, like on the phone or something that was, they're just kind of joking around. And I find it so funny. It's like before it was kind of like I would be like, oh, yeah, whatever. Now it's just, man, the only time it's no longer about like a future endeavor or something that I need to get to. That it's like what you said, kind of like I'm waiting for something to happen instead of making things happen and see that every possibility is it can't occur somewhere down the road. It's either they say now or never.
God, that is so valuable. That's so valuable because every time we go and say something will happen later, I mean, it's like we're just taking these minutes right here, which is my life, my precious life, and just saying, oh, pour these minutes out. Maybe they will go in the street, or pour them out down the toilet, or pour them in the waste can, or these minutes can go to hell, and then they're not good enough, right? They're mundane, and I mean, it's just so pitiful, that our total gift of life only shows up in these minutes, right? That's all it is, It's only in these minutes, and all those thoughts are supposed to support these minutes, right? And yet they're ripping them apart. All these thoughts and plans and endeavors and getting better and stuff. They're all just ripping these minutes to shreds and just stomping on them. And that's all we got is these minutes.
Yeah, procrastination. I mean, there's so many things, and I just, it's so strange. It's like when they always talk about, being blind to certain, being, walking around blind. I really feel that's how I was living for quite a long time. And I'm starting to really, there is, to me, and I think Rena may have put this, we talk about awakening sometimes. It's a renewing every moment right now.
Yeah, you always have to awake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awakening is like a past tense thing. It doesn't exist, right? The only thing that exists is awaking. Okay, yeah. Doing it now, right?
Yeah. When else could it happen?
God, it's like, you got me there, brother. That is what our main message is. When else can it happen? Right. And then, it's like you just have to jump over and say, well, okay, it's now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we could go round and round and discuss what awakening looks like somewhere down the road, but it'll never happen if we're constantly discussing it and planning for something other than,
So listening to some of these posts on, I really love the ones on the Rosie video, That was very impactful. I'm sorry to everybody that it was so jumpy, I was trying something new, but I think it works anyhow, And so then and this one won't be like that. And what should I say? What's your questions about how this system works, or what could be its purpose, or any kind of question you have about what we're up to, or about finishing school, or about anything?
I don't know. I didn't even really think of any question. I didn't prepare for, I knew that we were doing this, but I didn't really have any preparations and anything.
There's no preparation. It would just come now. Go to the Gap and see what shoots up.
I'm not really sure, because I almost feel, I don't feel like there's anything missing. And I think kind of like there's going to be, I don't know. I'm just really looking forward to kind of, meeting with everyone else too, and getting to know them too. Because when I look at the posts and the forum, I think I did something a while back with that. It's like I only know the people by what they're writing, and it was kind of neat when I watched, the dialogue that you and Rosie had going, because I felt a little closer, and to watch how it was kind of like a slow, kind of something was happening there, and I think more can happen through
yeah, I don't know if I need to pick on her. I mean, I'm not picking on her whatsoever because like everybody recognized her, right? But you noticed how the story went, it went open and then she went right to another one like, oh yeah, but I'm not getting this. And then I opened that one and she went, and she denied herself of the celebration of the openings, right? Now, I don't think you do that. But I mean, it's not that her defect or anything. It's just like, I don't know, it's something to notice. You got to notice that because like, I think there's several here that will be like that, if I get into more talks or maybe on a hangout or whatever. But that's a good thing to notice. And I think she's noticing it too. She emailed me or something like that and said, I'm going to watch it again then. You made me watch it again. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yep, when she wrote that. I thought that was pretty cool that she's going back and trying to, kind of see, which is, that's a good indication.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's working.
So, anyhow, that's the experiment for now. It's an experiment of running an experiment on this end. Where to go with it, how far to take it, the thing pops in my mind that everyone can get finished, and that just means like finished with preparation too. There's no preparation to life.
No.
Zilcho, you're just centered, and then you trust that what pops out because you know everything, even if you didn't do it. Even if you worked in your job and were always a miserable failure, you know what's successful in your job, And then if you're present, and then you've got that option, you know everything of everything. There's no preparation to life, period, right? You just live in the gap, right? Not in the gap like always in meditation and all. Yeah, you kind of you just know. I don't know what happens, really. I can't even explain it either. You just anytime you want to know something, like now, I ask a question, go to the gap and find the answer, And then if it ain't there, then you say, well, I'm content. I don't have a question, right? And then for now, and then one comes up later or whatever. I don't know. It's just so easy with no should-bes whatsoever and no judgment points, no principles. Nobody can, it's not that nobody can come on you. You can't come on yourself. That's the only thing that counts, right? Because there's nothing about now that you have to be any other way. That has to be so clear that you aren't, you're not allowed to make any judgment about yourself.
No.
Except that you're a miracle, right? I mean, when you read those posts and you hear those people and their appreciation for Rosie and probably what it means to her, because she was always saying, oh, I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. I mean, oh yeah, man, I can hardly read them without choking up. I'm totally choked.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things. And to me, I think that's one of the most important things. It's kind of like I can write a letter to somebody, and I'll go back to this, my grandma down the road, and tell her how much I care for her. But until I'm right there in front of her, and she's hearing the inflection in my voice and getting a sense of compassion, then those are just words on a piece of paper. To me, it's I don't really know her, but I do that. So I say I'd love to meet him.
Yeah. No, you guys are perfectly free. Like the forum, I'll never close it, right? But there won't be any new text or anything, so that maybe there will every once in a while. But I mean, or you could just say, let's have a reunion, a 6-month reunion, and tell we could even do it with a hangout, and say, well, what's happened in these 6 months? Oh my God, I got a raise, I got a new job, I found a lover. I mean, everything changed, And then who knows? We could do it, But even now, I think it's a good idea for you guys just to hang out each other and Skype each other.
Okay.
And, yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Just try to see who will go for it. And what else? Yeah. I think, okay, like in chapter 12, there's some good ones there. Maybe I'll do some more of those if you like them. I think a good one is when I told that one lady, like, don't miss a day without expressing love. You know, the one about the death, right? I said,
Right.
it's too many. Because we always are, we always wondered when somebody dies and say, well, we never really told them. You know, we never expressed to them. You know, we don't tell people. I don't even do it. You know, Rena says, where are you? Tell me what's going on. And I think, oh, yeah, I'm not any good at it either. But
Yeah.
so, I don't know. That's the experiment. And it's a lifelong endeavor. And why not, you know, without any proof, because it's brand new. You guys are really developing it. Right. And then, I don't know, we all have good wishes that this could be an immense movement in the world, not, you know, just because we want peace around us and, you know, just our benefit as much as anyone else's.
Sure. Yeah, most certainly.
So really, thanks so much for coming on and let me explain it a little bit. Because it's
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. I appreciate this. I love you guys for doing this experiment, and I'm glad that there's some people that stuck around, and looking forward to hearing them and listening to them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, communicating with them as well. It'll be fun.
Yeah, beautiful. They're mostly, who knows, they might all be there in the ante rooms. I did cut a few people out of the mailings just because I just thought I'd see if they would come up and say, hey, let me back in. So anyhow, I don't know. I had this other thing going, like No Child Left Behind, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But I gave it up.
Oh, okay.
With that one guy, you know.
Oh.
Mr. No Name. So anyhow, okay, Tony. Lots of love to you. I know you said I love you two guys for doing this experiment. I love you all for doing it. And now everybody's part is this experiment, and I'm clear on that. So beautiful. So that if you've got anything else you want to say, otherwise goodbye for now.
Yeah, I can't think of anything, and thanks again, and probably be talking here soon sometime.
You betcha. Okay, lots of love, Tony.
Lots of love, Richard.